Ben's life had never been easy. Long before his daughter, Emily, vanished without a trace, he had already faced heartbreak. His marriage had fallen apart, leading to a painful divorce filled with bitter arguments and endless court battles. In the end, Ben won full custody of Emily, but the victory came at a price. His ex-wife, Sarah, kept the house and most of their belongings, forcing him to start over from nothing. Despite the struggles, Ben was determined to give Emily a good life. He worked long hours, making sure she never felt the weight of their past. He did everything he could to be both a mother and a father to her, but deep down, he felt the loneliness creeping in. Just when he thought life was finally settling down, fate had other plans that would change his world forever. It was a Saturday like any other. Ben had no idea that this day would haunt him for years. His 13-year-old daughter, Emily, had gone out with her friends, promising to be home by dinner. But as the hours passed, worry crept in. She wasn't answering her phone. Her friends said she had taken a rideshare home, but she never arrived. Panic set in. Ben and his wife, Olivia, searched the entire neighborhood, calling every friend, every place Emily might have gone. Nothing. She had vanished without a trace. As fear tightened its grip, they called the police. Officers arrived, asking questions, searching for clues, but there was nothing unusual, no signs of a struggle, no security footage showing where she went. It was as if she had disappeared into thin air. The first night without Emily was unbearable. Ben sat awake, staring at the front door, hoping she'd walk in like nothing had happened. But days turned into weeks, and the silence remained. As the investigation dragged on, the reality of her absence became more painful. What had happened to Emily? Where was she? And most terrifying of all, was she still alive? Days turned into weeks, then months, but there was still no sign of Emily. Ben refused to give up. He spent every waking moment searching for clues, handing out flyers, and following every lead, no matter how small. But the lack of answers was crushing. Each dead end felt like another punch to the gut. His once happy home turned into a place of endless grief. If losing Emily wasn't enough, Ben's ex-wife, Rachel, made things worse. She was convinced that he had something to do with their daughter's disappearance. She dragged him into legal battles, accusing him, questioning his every move. The media latched onto the drama, making it even harder for Ben to focus on finding Emily. With every accusation, his energy drained, but he refused to let go of hope. Through it all, Olivia stood by his side. She became his rock, offering comfort when the world seemed to turn against him. But even she couldn't erase the fear in his heart. As the years passed, Ben wondered if he was searching in the wrong places. What if the truth was closer than he ever imagined? What if the real answer had been hidden all along? 5 years had passed since Emily disappeared, but the pain never faded. Ben had learned to live with the emptiness, though every day felt like a battle. Then, on a quiet morning, something unexpected happened. While working in his backyard, Ben's shovel hit something hard. At first, he thought it was just a rock, but as he cleared the dirt away, he realized it was a metal chain buried deep in the ground. His heart pounded. What was this doing here? Had it always been there, or was it something new? Curiosity took over. He pulled at the chain, but it wouldn't budge. No matter how hard he yanked, the earth refused to let go of its secret. Sweat dripped down his face as he dug around it, trying to see where it led. The more he uncovered, the more uneasy he felt. Was this just an old piece of junk, or was it something more? His gut told him not to ignore it. He needed help. Without wasting time, he called his neighbor, Mark, who had better tools for digging. Together, they would uncover the truth, one that had been buried right beneath Ben's feet for years. Ben and Mark worked for hours, digging deeper into the ground. The more dirt they removed, the clearer it became this wasn't just some random chain. It was connected to something much bigger. Their shovels hit something solid. A wooden surface peeked through the soil, old and worn with time. A chill ran down Ben's spine. It was a chest, large, heavy, and locked shut. His hands trembled as he brushed away the remaining dirt. What was inside? He didn't know if he wanted to find out, but at this point, there was no turning back. With one strong pull, the rusted lock broke. Ben hesitated for a moment, then slowly lifted the lid. Inside, instead of treasure, there were papers, old clothes, and something even more unsettling, diaries filled with handwritten notes. As he flipped through the pages, his breath caught in his throat. The words described something horrifying, something that had been hidden for years. The more he read, the more his stomach twisted. He recognized the handwriting. His heart pounded in his chest. Suddenly, everything started to make sense. The truth had been buried right here all along, waiting to be uncovered. Ben's hands shook as he flipped through the pages of the diary. Each sentence felt like a punch to the gut. The words weren't just random, they were personal. They described events from his own life, things only a few people could have known. His mind raced. Who wrote this? And more importantly, why was it buried in his backyard? Then, it hit him, the handwriting. It was familiar. A sick feeling twisted in his stomach. He had seen this writing before. His breath caught as a horrifying thought crept into his mind. Could it be Olivia? The woman who had stood by him all these years? His rock, his support, had she been keeping something from him all along? Heart pounding, Ben rushed inside, diary in hand. He found Olivia in the kitchen, her face turning pale as soon as she saw what he was holding. Her eyes darted to the door like she was about to run. That was all the confirmation he needed. "You knew," Ben whispered, his voice barely holding back the rage. Olivia's lips trembled, and then she did the one thing he wasn't prepared for. She broke down and confessed everything. Tears streamed down Olivia's face as she clutched the diary, her hands trembling. Ben stood frozen, his mind racing. He had imagined 100 different possibilities, but nothing could have prepared him for this moment. "I didn't want to hurt you," Olivia whispered, her voice cracking. "I was trying to protect you." Ben's chest tightened. Protect him? From what? His patience snapped. "From what, Olivia?" he demanded. "Where is Emily?" Her gaze dropped to the floor. She hesitated for a long moment before finally speaking. "She's alive." Ben's world spun. He had spent 5 years drowning in grief, believing his daughter was gone forever. Now, in an instant, everything changed. "What are you saying?" His voice wavered between anger and desperate hope. "I kept in touch with her," Olivia admitted. "She's been with Camila." Ben staggered back like he'd been punched. His ex-wife? The woman who had made his life miserable? His voice shook with fury. "You knew all this time?" "I wanted to tell you," Olivia pleaded, stepping closer. "But I was afraid of what you might do." Ben's fists clenched. The truth was out, but now he needed to act.